Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Find a living in fisheries. The UAS Fisheries Technology Program offers online study from anywhere in Alaska, plus labs and workshops in many Alaska towns.
Is most likely a chum.
Find your living without leaving where you are. Fisheries Technology from UAS.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Friday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Dave Percy, and I'll be hosting this evening's show. Show times for APB, 5:30 p.m., same thing for KUAC. Up in the interior, 9.4 in the greater Fairbanks area, and 360 north, 7:30 p.m., and Alaska Public Media, 5 a.m. the following morning, and also on YouTube, uploaded by at least 8 p.m., if not sooner. Yesterday, satellite showed, again, lots of sunshine here across just about all of interior Alaska. Had some clouds and moisture there across the southeast coast. All the big storminess down to the south, rolling into Pacific Northwest, and really not a lot going on out to the west, just very weak low there southwest of St. Paul, but pretty good conditions even out into the eastern Bering Sea on up to the Bering Strait, and another weak band pushing into the far western Aleutians. Today, you can see kind of a weak low there dropping south of Adak. Clouds, clouds with scattered showers there across the southern Bering Sea and from the central Aleutians here in across Dutch Harbor, Unalaska, and locally in and around the Alaska Peninsula. Then is back into the sunshine over the interior from Bristol Bay on northward. And again, infrared shot here, so those aren't clouds you're seeing dissipating throughout the day. It's just the ground warming up. It was virtually clear all the way up to the Brooks Range, and cloudy along the Arctic coast there with a few skiffs of snow around Barrow and locally the North Slope area this morning, but nothing too significant. Mostly cloudy here across the southeast coast. Weak disturbance here just as the southwest developed some showers over the area from Port Alexander to Sitka, eastward to about Cake, picking up a few hundredths of an inch. Very light shower activity there. Otherwise, just clouds to the south and windier conditions up to the north. Gales blowing out through Lynn Canal today, as high as 35 to 40 knots in gusts at Eldred Rock, and light winds here for the North Gulf Coast area. Weak low, really not producing any weather yet here just south of Seward. Light winds Kodiak Island, a little bit of a gradient here developing along the Alaska Range, and actually east to northeast winds through the interior today in the 5 to 15 mile per hour range. Some areas saw a little bit more, especially if they're higher elevations. Indian Mountain, Huslia had northeast winds gusting to about 25, and then north of the mountains up there, get into the clouds and a few scattered flurries. Easterly winds though, 15 to 30 miles an hour, central and eastern Arctic coast. Lighter to the west, and really light winds across all of the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, with again shower activity from the Alaska Peninsula on out to Shimmy and Attu. And for tonight, things don't change out that way really much at all. Still looking at some occasional shower activity, mostly on the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula. Scattered showers possible there tonight. Mostly cloudy skies on Alaska and Nikolsky. but could get into some clearing maybe here for the central Aleutians. Any precipitation that falls out here will be quite light, and then maybe some more showers in another trough out over the far western Aleutians. Winds still on the light side out in that area. Definitely light here across the Gulf of Alaska. Hardly any gradient at all. This low now starting to churn up some more in the way of showers in this general area there, some of which may back in toward Kodiak Island, Fognak Island area late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Just a slight chance that'll get a little more extensive during the day tomorrow, and just a risk late tonight of that happening. And the showers may expand somewhat here over the southeast coast as well, with generally fair skies. Then snow possibilities again. They had a little flurry activity going around the Northway area. That may actually increase here along the, north of the Alaska Range, Northway to Tok, but not quite making it to Eagle. And then snow, areas of light snow there developing and actually expanding along the eastern Arctic coast, beginning to spread down toward the Brooks Range. That goes on tomorrow, edging southward there, right up to the north side of the mountains, almost to the crest of the range. On back, Barrow eastward, light snow, occasional light snow much of the day. Still gusty on those winds, north to northeast, 15 to 20, maybe 25 miles an hour. And breezy conditions through the interior as well, maybe picking up a little bit over today. Northeast, 10 to 20, 25 miles an hour or so. Lighter winds south of the mountains. Pretty light winds here for Bristol Bay as well. Northwesterlies across the Alaska Peninsula on out to the Pribilof Islands, with showers scattered again across much of the Aleutian chain here and back to the north. And those really get scattered out though back towards Shemya. And again, nothing heavy at all in the way of precipitation is occurring anywhere in the state here, at least through Saturday. Then on Sunday, upper level trough up here, which is already coming southward, actually digs in a little better. This low cranks up in the Gulf of Alaska. We've got quite a gradient here across southern Alaska now. Small craft advisories, both for Cook Inlet and Prince William Sound on Sunday. And pick the winds up north 30 knots or Lynn Canal. Showers across all the southeast coast. And snow showers now possible over the Copper River Basin area and along the Alaska Range. Nothing really heavy. Also look for a mostly cloudy day there in the Fairbanks area, with some light snow possible in the mountains to the north and northeast of the area. Otherwise, fair conditions continue with mostly sunny skies from the Koyukuk Valley on out across Selawik and Kotzebue, Seward Peninsula. Clear, windy conditions with sunny skies here over the southwest coast. Nunivak Island looks like VFR flying there for St. Lawrence Island northward. Arctic coast looks like light snow through the weekend from Barrow eastward and again down to the North Slope areas. Farther out to the west, the next system bringing some rain, but not much in the way of wind here into the west central Aleutians, probably not making it to the AKwx area until Sunday evening. And temperatures this afternoon across the southeast coast, mid to upper 40s, although Klawock did reach 51. That matched also at Yakutat, 50 to 55, North Gulf Coast. Valdez up to 55 degrees. One of the warmer locations, Talkeetna, 57 with sunshine. And generally, lower 50s for the Kenai Peninsula, 50s Kodiak Island, 30s up over the Tanana Valley with 30 degrees at Northway, 39 in Fairbanks, Tanana at 34. Fort Yukon, 27. 14 this afternoon at Anatuvik, but Bettle's up to 40, 38 in Ambler, lower 40s here across the northwest. And the Arctic coast, upper 20s to lower 30s, warming to 37 at Cape Lisburne. And through the Bering Strait, lower 40s, 43 at Gamble. And Pribilofs, both 45 to 50-ish there with 45 at St. George, 50 degrees even at Unalaska, lower to mid 50s the Alaska Peninsula on up to King Salmon, where they matched 50 degrees, or had 50, also matched here at Atka, and 48 at Adak. Low temperatures tonight, again dropping down close to 0 through the eastern interior, 1 degree, the forecast low at Eagle. So there could be some areas here dropping to the dark side of 0 here over the eastern interior. 5 forecast along Gulkana. Teens westward turn into 20s and upper 20s, lower 30s as you get out toward the coast. Arctic coast mid to upper 20s and pretty mild here over the Alaska Peninsula, 45 to 50, a little cooler out to the west. High temperatures tomorrow, much like today, upper 20s, lower 30s, north slope, Arctic coast, warmer to the west, 40s down the coast to 50s over the Alaska Peninsula. Panhandle again, upper 40s to lower 50s, and mostly in the 40s here for south central Alaska. Could see some lower 50s for Kodiak and 30s for the Copper River Basin. Flying weather tomorrow with the snow. IFR from, let's see, they've got from about Wainwright eastward all the way to the border over there, with marginal VFR spreading southward to the Brooks Range. Early in the morning, could be some marginal VFR here along the Alaska Range. Marginal VFR on the increase across the Panhandle, extending back to Kodiak Island. Areas IFR at times from the north side of the Alaska Peninsula back across the Pribilos. And for tomorrow afternoon, that pulls back to the northwest there, keeps the Pribilof Islands in the IFR zone. Areas of marginal VFR for the Aleutians, just about all of the Bering Sea, eastward across the Aleutian Range to Kodiak Island. Marginal VFR, much of the Panhandle. Better conditions down to the south, though. Stays VFR in the Yakutat area, but marginal VFR drawn into Prince William Sound now, and also here up over the northeast Copper River Basin, the Wrangels, on up to possibly Northway, and quite an area of marginal VFR from the crest of the Brooks Range on out across all of the Arctic coast. And for passes, move to this side. Marginal VFR developing here in the afternoon on the north entrance of Anaktuvik, or at least by afternoon, maybe sooner. Same forecast for Adigan VFR, but the lower conditions north. And Lake Clark and Merrill, good VFR tomorrow. Same forecast for rainy. Windy stays open, definitely. And Isabel Mentasta, another good VFR day for those passes. Tanita, same forecast. No change for Portage. And Chilkoot and White becoming marginal. Freezing levels at the surface now, late tonight, early tomorrow morning, all the way down here into the southeast, southwest, and right on out to the Bering Sea, and almost down to the North Gulf Coast, cutting through the northern Panhandle in 2,000 to 4,000 feet there. And with that upper ridging through this area, still looking at 8,000 foot freezing levels over the southwest interior, right on up across St. Lawrence Island, and then falling back some out over the central Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And from there, icing possibilities of some light icing, I would call it. I wouldn't even mention moderate in this area, above about 4,000 to 6,000 feet there for the Alaska Peninsula to Unalaska Island, and probably possibility of it up there with the moisture on the eastern Arctic coast, locally over the eastern North Slope, and above about 6,000 feet here across the Panhandle. And the jet stream, upper trough coming southward here, so 90 knot jet now digging down into the northern Gulf of Alaska by midday tomorrow. Upper level high pulling back across Wrangel Island there with a easterly southeast jet of about 70 there across the northern Bering Sea. The main Pacific jet here well to the south, quite strong, but diving off to the southeast. And 9,000 feet, getting a little brisk here over the interior at this elevation, 25 to 30 knots, falling back to 15 for the Arctic coast. Northwest, 20 to 30 to 35 knots, southeast Bering Sea, Alaska Peninsula to the Atka area, and southeasterlies, southeast coast and off about 25 knots, turn easterly for the North Gulf Coast, and 3,000 foot winds shaping up like this. Northeast, 15 to 20. Turning easterly across the western Brooks Range at about 25, and 20 to 30 knot winds out of the northeast here across the central interior. Turn to the north and then northwest at the same speed across the Alaska Peninsula. Easterlies to northeast, 25 knots, North Gulf Coast, and 20 to 30 knot winds here for the northern Panhandle, lighter down to the south to about 20 there for Dixon Entrance. Out to the west, not too much wind at all. 15 to 25, and that's about it for the western central Aleutians. As far as turbulence goes, occasional moderate or light to isolated moderate chop, Alaska Peninsula on out to Adak, coming up say to St. George Island, and then through the interior here from northeast to southwest, also from the Bering Strait, north side of the Seward Peninsula, covering the western Arctic coast. And then, of course, with the tightening gradient here along the North Gulf Coast, in across the northern panhandle, look for light to isolated moderate chop there as well, all below about 5,000 or 6,000 feet. And after hangar flying, I'll return with some interesting marine forecast conditions.
Good evening, I'm Harry Keeling, and on behalf of Alaska Public Media and the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, welcome to Hangar Flying. Our guest this evening is Clint Johnson. He's the Alaska Regional Director for the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB. Clint's been in Alaska since 1966, and I think you could almost say that he grew up on the hangar floor. He was involved with his family flying business, flew helicopters for 13 years with his dad, joined the NTSB in 1997, and I think it's fair to say anybody that knows Clint knows of his dedication to aviation safety and the many contributions he's made that make aviation safer for us pilots in Alaska. Welcome, Clint.
Great to be back, thanks.
So let's talk about one of the really serious problems in aviation, but specifically in general aviation. I know it's a subject that you're concerned about, and that's loss of control.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can you define what loss of control is?
Well, I guess to put it in layman's terms and to be very blunt, stalling the airplane. When the airplane is no longer in controlled flight is probably the best way to sum it up. Again, to the layperson, it would be a stalling the airplane.
So when would you, I can think of a couple of situations where well, we intentionally stall airplanes, don't we? When we go out and train on how to recover from stalls, we stall the airplane and recover. But the dangerous part is when it's unexpected and unanticipated. Talk a little bit about some of those situations.
There are certain flight regimes that are that risk is greater. Obviously, during takeoff, landing, low altitude maneuvering. Up here, unfortunately we call it the moose stall in Alaska. Orbiting over a very tight area, and normally if there's some game or something on the ground, as that turn tightens, obviously the stall speed quadruples or goes up considerably. So a lot of times we'll see maneuvering stalls. Another one that unfortunately has been a real killer here in Alaska, and probably a little bit more common than we've seen in years past, is departure stalls, whereas lose an engine on takeoff in a single engine airplane, trying to make that impossible turn back to the runway, and unfortunately that in many times leads to tragedy.
Or other situations might be, for example, an unexpected go-around where you either because of the trim or you're just not paying attention that you lose control as you add power and don't push the nose over?
Absolutely. There are a number of different flight regimes where a stall or a loss of control can take place. There's a number of them. Again, this year we've seen a number of accidents during that departure where you lose an engine, take off, or for whatever the case is, again, trying to make that tight turn back to the runway, and unfortunately it leads to disaster.
Another situation I can think of is in the base to final turn.
Absolutely.
Getting too close to the runway, too tight, and you bend it around, and that's, and you, unfortunately, in that, as well as some of the other circumstances you mentioned, you don't have the altitude to recover even if you tried.
That's key, is having that altitude. As you mentioned before at the beginning of the segment, stalls are practice. That's one of the primary things that we learn when we're flying, is to go up to altitude and practice those stalls. If there's ample room to recover from the stall, not going to be a problem. But if you're low to the ground, slow, you're just not going to have that room to be able to recover.
Talk a little bit about why loss of control accidents are so dangerous. I mean, what generally happens in those accidents?
Unfortunately, loss of control accidents like this usually result in either serious injuries or unfortunately death. Usually it's a very violent impact. and probably more cases than not, death to the occupants in the airplane is going to take place.
And I think I saw a figure that 40% or 42% of general aviation fatalities are linked to loss of control.
That is correct. That's why the NTSB is so concerned about loss of control. And in years past, it's been on our most wanted list. And it's definitely something the NTSB is concerned about in general aviation.
What I'd like to do, Clint, is I think we're just about running out of time. Any final thoughts on loss of control?
You know, it's something the NTSB has been concerned about for a long, long time. And being an investigator and a pilot here in Alaska, unfortunately, a lot of our investigators here in the Alaska region, the NTSB, have unfortunately had the opportunity to investigate accidents involving loss of control and unfortunately fatalities. So we'd like to keep that from happening and educate the general aviation public as much as possible.
Well, along that same line, I'd like to end the program tonight and just point out to our viewers that there is a seminar on Saturday, November 5th, and the topic is going to be loss of control, and it's going to be at UAA Aviation Technology. I hope you all can make it. Clint, as always, thank you for what you do day to day, and thanks for being on the program tonight.
Thanks so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. Until next time, fly safe.
Welcome back. Well, the sea ice chart should be called the sea no ice chart. This stuff way up to the north. There is a little bit of areas of very thin ice here in this stretch of the eastern Arctic coast, and really not looking for any growth in the ice here over the next several days because the temperatures, the sea surface temperatures are still above freezing. Later on in the weekend, early next week, this area may start to grow a little bit, otherwise no changes. And for the Panhandle South or Lynn Canal on down across Stevens Passage, small craft advisories for north winds at 25, southeast 25 for Clarence Strait. And then we've got small craft advisories here for the Central Coast. Out of the south here, turning northeast, so a trough axis right through there, dropping back to 20 knots on the south coast, east 20 on the north coast, and seas up to 11 feet. For the Sunday outlook, light southeasterlies here on the south coast, picking up to east 30 knots on up to the north, and northerlies at 30 knots, Lynn Canal. Small craft advisories continue through Sunday for Stevens Passage, and just east at 15 for Clarence Strait. Heading west, Cook Inlet, northeast winds north of the Forelands turn north and then northwest, but still 15 knots there for Kamishak Bay. Light winds Shelikof Strait, 20 knots there for the east side of Kodiak Island. Northeast 20 for the western North Gulf Coast, turn easterly there for the Middleton Island area. And then on Sunday we've got small craft advisories now in Prince William Sound, northeast 25. Again, big increase also here for northern Cook Inlet, 30 knots south of the Forelands, and northwest 30 knots for the Kamishak Bay area. Small crafts now in Shelikof Strait. Pretty light winds on the east side of Kodiak. Pick up to 20 for the Barrens, and then 30 knots along the North Gulf Coast with 8 to 9 foot seas. Bristol Bay northeast at 15 tomorrow, northwest 20. On the Bering Sea side of the peninsula, Cape Sarachev to Castle Cape, small craft advisories west 25 knots, 8 foot seas, and then drop back to 20 out of the northwest. And for the Sunday outlook, small craft advisories now for Bristol Bay, north 25 knots, coming down under 25 here for the north side of the peninsula, 30 knots, so looking at an increase here, in fact, northwest 30 from Cape Sarachev on up to Sitkinak with 9 foot seas. And for the eastern Aleutians, 30 knots right out of the west with 9 to 13 foot seas here. And small craft advisories at 25 for Adak and Atka. And then lighter westerlies under small craft advisories for the winds, but of course the seas here mean small craft advisories due to seas with 9 to 12 feet. And then for Sunday, light variable winds here for the far western Aleutians, and pretty light also here west to Adak. Otherwise, south to southwest, 15 to 20 knots, 6 to 10 foot seas. This forecast really subject to change without notice, but westerly at 25, turning northwest, 30 to 35 knots. This forecast a little more confidence in with the gales there, with seas up to 13 feet. And for the southwest coast, north to northeast, 20 knots. Same thing up there for St. Lawrence Island, northeast 15 for the northern Bering Sea, northwest 20, blowing down across the Pribilofs with 6-foot seas. And then for Sunday, northeast 20 knots, north of Nunivak Island up to actually the Bering Strait, and then north 30 knots here. A pretty good increase there south of Nunivak Island into Kamishak, or into Kuskokwim Bay with 8-foot seas, north 20 for the Pribilofs. Arctic coast tomorrow, north to northeast, 15 knots with 3 to 5-foot seas across the area. Small craft advisories from the western coast here on down to Cape Thompson, and then northeast at about 20 from Cape Thompson on down to the Bering Strait. Those drop off even further, just 15 knots for Sunday, but small craft advisories here for the entire western coast, dropping back to 20 there in the Barrow area, northeast 15 for the east side with 3 to 5-foot seas. And for tonight, pretty fair conditions. Some areas will see a little bit of a breeze. Most areas won't. Kind of an increase in the clouds here on the east side to some extent, with increasing chances of snow on the upslope areas there of the Alaska range. So that kind of puts Northway and Tok in that zone. Definitely areas of light snow and fog there for the eastern Arctic coast to about Barrow, possibly Wainwright, Atchison, but fair down to the south. Showers out over the Aleutians and the Bering Sea, which really no change for tomorrow out that way. No change here over much of the interior. Still a risk of some light snow there, Tok and Northway, with Northway having the better chance. Kind of look for the clouds to increase here over the eastern interior, though. This area of snow sagging right down, but getting cut off by the Brooks Range, and then showers over the Panhandle. Still sunny day here, Prince William Sound in across Cook Inlet, but shower chances increase for Kodiak Island with this low in the Gulf, and then as an upper trough digs southward, that's going to energize this surface low in the Gulf to a pretty good system for Sunday with snow showers.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.